Welcome to the story of Jesus heals two blind men. This story is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 20, verses 29 through 34. The lesson focus for grades 3-4 is, Jesus has compassion for me. In the Gospel of Matthew, the disciples and the crowds who followed Jesus were often confused about who Jesus was and what he was about. The miracle of Jesus healing two blind men happened at a time when tension and confusion were high. Jesus had just announced to his disciples that he would soon suffer, die, and rise again. Jesus is all about healing and kindness and compassion. Through his teaching and miracles, Jesus demonstrated that he was ushering in a new kingdom of God. However, there was still great confusion among his disciples about what the kingdom would be like. The writer of Matthew repeatedly demonstrates that the kingdom Jesus ushers in will not be what people expect, but nobody around Jesus gets it. People still thought he would be a worldly king who would use his power like any other king. They were still expecting an earthly kingdom marked by power, might, and military conquest. The blind men who called out to Jesus gave him another opportunity to point out how God's kingdom was different. The crowd tried to hush the blind men as if the future king should not be bothered by such crass beggars. But Jesus stopped in his tracks. Everyone is important to Jesus. He asked the men what they wanted him to do for them. Then Jesus healed. When we listen to the voice of Jesus, we hear that his power comes through compassion. He is with those who suffer. Jesus is kind and has compassion for you, for me, for everyone, and offers healing, kindness, and compassion for all. With the most unexpected people and at the most unexpected times, Jesus shows compassion in unexpected ways. Jesus performed many miracles to heal, teach, and help people. Jesus showed compassion to the blind men, and Jesus has compassion for us. Keep in mind that some kids in your class will be regularly worshiping in church, while others will be dropped off for Sunday school. Try to include worship elements during your time together. Pray often and offer blessings each week. These may be the only experiences kids have with prayer and blessing. Depending on the talents and interests of your group, musical activities may not always work well. If your kids are very opposed to singing, consider using musical listening activities instead. Music is a valuable tool for learning about faith, no matter how it's incorporated. Keep an eye on the game kids play during arrival time. If players are overwhelming the person who is it, add a rule stating that only 1 or 2 players may approach it at a time. This will help the game stay under control and make sure all kids feel successful playing. Use the leaflet story called No Matter What to reinforce that God doesn't make bad things happen or keep them from happening. This is an important message for kids who picture God punishing them with illness or bad events when they do something wrong. Let kids know that God is with us through both the good and the bad. If there's a church member with a visual impairment who uses Braille and is comfortable talking with kids, use their expertise in this lesson. Invite them to join you for the Say What? Leaflet activity to describe what it's like to read Braille. Ask them to bring books kids can explore with their hands. Be sure to thank your guest for coming. This lesson includes an important story about one of Jesus' healing miracles. Talk about Jesus' compassion for these men and others throughout the lesson to illustrate the lesson focus, Jesus has compassion for me.